Name's the easy part, Chrisopher Morrison. Role's a little bit complicated. Get ready for a lot of slashes. Writer, director, producer. Now it looks like art director, costumer. Brief overview of the story. For the, what I like to call the cheap seats, an Appalachian reservoir dogs with a supernatural twist. So the overview of the story is sort of just like what it sounds like. It's a heist that's gone bad, and these three guys, who used to be four guys, run away into the woods to try to recuperate and figure out what the hell to do next. And when they arrive, they find an old woman in attendance in this half-built house that they're taking refuge in, and bad things happen from there. What was the idea of this one? Oh, you know what? It was, believe it or not, it was inspired by a song. There was a song lyric that I heard that had something to do with a hanging tree. And just that, and this is how my goofy artistic brain works. Like sometimes I'll get inspired by a snatch of lyric or a line I read in a book, or sometimes like an overheard conversation, or the way somebody's clothes fit. You never know. And just that, it just grabbed a hold of me, and it just stuck. And then when the opportunity came up to write a short with Inland Lakes, it just came raging to the foreground. And also the song is in a very specific sort of, I don't know how to put it, I guess folky, salt of the earth kind of a tune. So the lyric and that type of song led me straight into Men of the Tree, the title. And then that's right, and then like one of my favorite authors said, Stephen R. Donaldson, there's no such thing as a good idea. Really what you have are one good idea that meets another good idea, and then you've got art. I started in live theater. Theater was my first and still an abiding passion of mine. But I was always a film head. I was always that obnoxious guy that could tell you who wrote it and directed it and was the producer on it, and the four leads deep into it, and then I had favorite character actors, and I was just a giant comic book kid. I've come from a physical theater background as opposed to like a sort of a methody acting, a psychological realism kind of background, and that kind of stuff, you know, led me into working with Cirque du Soleil and the Berkeley Repertory Theater, and for a long time I was making part of my living as a fight choreographer as well as a director and an actor. So movement was always part of it, and that movement on stage is all about stage picture. You know, you've got to keep it clean and keep the story moving. And then with the comic book visual aspect of that kind of storytelling, it definitely worked my brain, I think, in moving images, pictures, and sometimes still pictures. It was a pretty natural transition for me to jump over to film because of my abiding love of it already. And with all that in the backpack, so to speak, I was able to just start shooting my own stuff, and that, again, led to work. And night shooting, first 2 or 3 days, it's brutal, and of course, we're on a 3-day shoot, so all of us would probably be okay by like 2 days later, but now we're just in the horrible part where your brain doesn't know if you're asleep or awake or what do you do. But that's also kind of the fun part of it to me. It's a challenge to stay sharp in that environment. I probably wouldn't know what to do if I was able to get a full night's sleep and just wake up in the day and be like, oh, we get to shoot a film today? Let's shoot a scene. I know what I'm thinking today. How exciting. So that's the biggest challenge for me. Yeah, how we assembled the whole crew is a lot of calling in of favors. We've been very lucky. My wife, Kelly, who's also a producer and a script supervisor, we've both had a decent run in terms of careers, and when you do that, as I like to say, work leads to work, and you meet people, and you keep their freaking numbers in your back pocket. When someone's good and someone you know is on a set, sometimes for nothing, busting their butt, you know, you're like, I'm going to work with that person again, and hopefully I'll be able to pay them something. Or even if I can't, I'll beg, and I'll owe them, you know, whatever. And that's really what it is. It's, you know, a lot of times some people might get cynical and say, oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's who you work with and who you click with. Mm-hmm. And when you show up and they know you're solid and you're a professional and you see that in them, they see that in you. And anytime you pick up the phone, people are game, baby. That's the thing. You pick up that phone and you ask. It's one thing I had to learn a long time ago. Ask for help, man. And ask. And if you've got a Rolodex of the good help, voila, you get something like Men of the Tree. What is the next Chrisopher Morrison project? That's a good question. Definitely on the books is working again with Inland Lakes Productions on a couple of feature screenplays. I'll be working with Mr. Doug Stewart. I think the first one up will definitely be co-written by him and myself. And there's a couple of projects deep there, writing-wise at least for now, and possibly directing for them. And actually, I've got a nonfiction book proposal that I'm working on about middle-class artists in America.